My name is Brittany Burgess, and today I will be talking to you about the Army's basic combat training. Military basic training is something that very few people go through. According to NPR, in 2010, less than 1% of the total U.S. population served in the military. This includes not only those who are active duty, but also those who are in the National Guard, the Air National Guard, and the Reserves. Now, all of the branches of the military have their own different basic combat training, but today I'm going to be telling you about the Army's. Furthermore, I will also be telling you about AIT, which stands for Advanced Individual Training. Basic training completely changes a person's life. These men and women go into training as average everyday people, but come out well-trained soldiers prepared to defend the United States when needed. This transformation does not simply happen overnight. Basic training lasts 9 weeks for the Army. During these 9 weeks, these people are pushed to their limits and acquire the basic skills that any soldier needs. Once a recruit arrives at the base that they are training at, they go to Reception Battalion. Reception, as it is usually called, lasts roughly a week, give or take a few days. Reception involves a lot of paperwork. During reception, recruits receive immunizations, dental checkups, blood tests, and medical evaluations. They also receive haircuts and are issued their uniforms and other clothing that they would need for training. Their uniforms, called ACUs, which stands for Army Combat Uniform, look like this. The recruits, also known as soldiers in training, or SITs, also begin to learn about the military and its customs. Reception is the time where soldiers begin the transition into military life. After reception is finished, the soldiers begin week 1 of training. This is the beginning of Red Phase. Training is broken down into phases, which last 3 weeks. During week 1, soldiers will have their first Army Physical Fitness Test, also known as APFT, and receive classroom time where they will learn about the Army and its rules and values. The APFT consists of 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. During this week, the soldiers are thrown into the Army way of life and receive a lot of new responsibilities. During week 2, recruits begin to learn combat exercises and learning basic skills. They will do what is called Victory Tower, or Eagle Tower, where the soldiers learn how to rappel. The recruits in training will also begin to learn basic first aid and land navigation. This is when they really begin to get out into the field and use skills that they are learning in the classroom. Week 3 is the last week of Red Phase. In this week, the recruits begin bayonet instruction in the fundamentals of basic rifle marksmanship, or BRM. They will have a 3-mile march, and they will also do the nuclear biological chemical training. This is known as the gas chamber. Recruits go into a room filled with tear gas and learn how to operate their gas masks effectively under pressure. At the end of this week, the recruits will have their Phase 1 tests. Then week 4 begins White Phase. This week, the recruits will learn all of the things that go into shooting, like how to correctly breathe in the different stances. They will also have BRM practice on single and multiple targets. They will also have their second APFT, and they will have roughly 10 miles worth of marching that week. Week 5 consists of testing and qualifications. The recruits do both their BRM pre-qualification and qualification. For this, they are given 40 targets. To pass and be considered a marksman, a recruit must hit at least 23 targets. If a recruit shoots 30 to 35 targets, they are a sharp shooter. If a recruit shoots 36 and above, they are an expert. This week also includes the obstacle course and more testing. Week 6 begins Blue Phase and starts with yet another APFT. This week involves teamwork. Recruits work on moving as a squad and defensive live fire exercises. Week 6 helps to build a recruit's confidence in their battle buddies. During this week, they will start to learn about the base that they will be reporting to after they complete training as well. Week 7 brings confidence building exercises. Soldiers will complete a confidence course and more live fire exercises that will help them to increase their confidence in themselves and their abilities. They will also receive hand grenade training with both dummy grenades and live grenades. The recruits will also do their last APFT and face tests. Week 8 is packed full of events. This includes a 6-mile march, night infiltration course, and then a 9-mile march. These are the last major events that the soldier will do during training. They then start packing up for graduation and practicing. They then enter what is called recovery. Week 9 is the last week of Blue Phase and the last week of basic training. During this week, the recruits will continue with recovery, where they clean out their barracks and their weapons to be turned back in and prepare to leave the base. They will do paperwork for out processing and figure out any last-minute things that need to be done before they go on to their next base for AIT. At the end of this week is Family Day and then graduation. After graduation, they are now officially soldiers. These soldiers will now report to other bases for AIT, unless they are going into the infantry. The infantry does not do this. They have what is called one-station unit training, and the soldier never leaves the base until they are finished with their technical training. Now, the length of AIT can vary depending on what the soldier's MOS, or military occupational specialty, is. Infantry training lasts 5 weeks, while combat medic training lasts 16 weeks. During AIT, soldiers learn specialized skills for their specific job in the Army. Once they finish AIT, active duty soldiers will report to their duty stations, and those who are in the National Guard return home. In conclusion, Army basic training is very mentally and physically demanding. There are at least 7 mandatory foot marches that every basic training cycle must do, and many different courses. Though it is demanding, Army basic training completely transforms the lives of the men and women who go through it. After reception, they are thrown into Red Phase, where they begin living the Army way of life and learning what everything is all about. They begin with APFTs, do Victory Tower, and go through the gas chamber. Next, they move into White Phase, where recruits work with their weapons and their basic rifle marksmanship. They do more APFTs and the obstacle course. Finally, they have Blue Phase, where recruits further build confidence and finish their training. They work with grenades, do the confidence course, and finish with marches and night infiltrations. Finally, at the end of Blue Phase, after 9 long weeks of training, the recruits graduate and become soldiers.